What's up, folks? It is your doctor here once again, Dr. Remy LeBeau, coming at you from the X-Lair to provide you with your daily treatment to help you cope with the X-Men statue withdrawal syndrome that has been plaguing you for as long as you can remember. Fortunately, you've come to the right place. I'm going to help you get through the next at least 20 minutes by introducing you to this very cool statue of Emma Frost, the White Queen, the retro version. How Emma Frost first appeared in the Marvel Universe in the Dark Phoenix saga. Um, as you can see, she's almost naked. So, as Borat would say, it is sexy time. It's actually not sexy time. I'm not going to have sex with the statue, but for those that love statues of women that are basically naked, this is actually a good choice for you if you're not an X-Men fan whatsoever and just like to see female forms pretty much naked, displayed throughout your home. This is a good option for you. If you are an X-Men fan, as I would assume you are, given that you're checking out my video and that you have probably checked out my other videos and my blog and are similar to me in terms of like your interests, uh, you would want to get this statue because she is a super important character in the X-Men canon, and more importantly, she is an important character in the current X-Men. She's actually become an X-woman. I mean, X-Men. I don't. She's an X-Men. She's one of the good guys now, one of the good gals now. I don't mean to be sexist. X-Men always kind of feels a little bit sexist to me because it doesn't necessarily, represent the fact that it could be men or women. But whatever. I mean, it was developed in the 60s. I mean, things were different back then and changed very dramatically throughout that decade, actually. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. She's an X-Men now and has been for a very long time. She was one of the bad guys. Now she's one of the good guys. So, I mean, there's really a lot of importance to Emma Frost as a character throughout the X-Men canon. And definitely it's worth sort of checking out the various versions of this statue, of which there are three, that sort of help to sort of track, her evolution. So there's this original version. Then there's two modern versions. One that has her in her diamond form, which is like clear, and one that has her in the modern version, but not in a diamond form, in like a painted statue form. So there's three of these. They're all very cool. I have two of them. I have this one and I have the diamond form one. I don't have the other one, but I do plan to get it at some point because I do like it as well. I think Bowen did a nice job with all three of these. One thing that was sort of a critique of these, excuse me, was the choice of the colors that was used. So you can see that her outfit is basically kind of silver, which looks really nice. You can see like the light is reflecting off of it very nicely, and it makes it, kind of an impressive piece to look at. But she is the White Queen, and so there was a lot of sort of uproar about the fact that she wasn't painted white. And so there have been a lot of repaints of this statue in white. I actually repainted my own clear version into white, just taking some acrylic paints and just whiting everything out. So when I finally do display or show you guys that statue, you'll notice that it's actually been repainted by me, and I'm sure I'll go into that whole spiel. Um, I got that one first, and then I got this one later. And the reason I got this one was because I wanted to kind of fatten up my Dark Phoenix display. You guys have seen that I actually attempted to sculpt my own Sebastian Shaw statue. Nobody's made a Sebastian Shaw statue. It's unfortunate. So I decided to go, have a go at it myself, and I think it turned out okay. It's not perfect. Obviously everybody. I didn't make it to sell it, so like I didn't make it for people to love it. I made it to just sort of see what I could do as just like a novice sculptor, and to sort of again fatten up my Dark Phoenix display, which needed more sort of because I've got the Dark Phoenix, and I've also got Gladiator in there, the head of the Shi'ar Imperial Guard, and then I got Emma, and so now and then I sculpted Sebastian Shaw. So now there's like the four important characters in there. In the future, I think I'm gonna throw in the Jean as the Black Queen. I haven't bought that statue yet, but I plan to. And then maybe Dazzler as well. I might include Dazzler in there because Dazzler was introduced during that whole period as well. Um, so it was a really important period for just introduction of a variety of characters. And the reason why I associate this version of Emma with that period is because she was introduced during that period. So here's Uncanny X-Men number 129 from January of 1979. She was introduced in this issue, and actually so was Kitty Pryde. So Kitty and Emma were both introduced in this issue, and this is like the issue right before Dazzler's introduced. So a lot of characters were introduced, and then after the issue that Dazzler was introduced, which is 130, we have issue 131, and we've got actually Emma in the cover, and it says "Prisoners of the White Queen," and she's got the X-Men, and this is around the time that Jason Weingart is like. He's basically controlling Jean to make her think that she's like in the 18th century, and she's on, and Jason Weingart is her husband, and so that's how he's like gaining control of Jean to the point where they drag her into the Hellfire Club as like the Black Queen, and then that leads to her kind of just going nuts and becoming the Dark Phoenix. And that's actually a couple of issues after this one. So this was a really cool issue that I wanted to have because like I thought it would display really nicely with her, and you see that it does. It displays very nicely with her. And this is before I included her in the Dark Phoenix display. Like when I just had her displayed on her own in like a Detolf, one of these glass cases. I had this issue displayed with her. And now that I have her in the Dark Phoenix display, I no longer have her displayed with this issue. But for those that are interested in just having like a display of Emma with like a very important, with like a seminal sort of comic that captures like the design of Emma in this form and complements the statue. Well, this is a great issue. Again, it's Uncanny X-Men number 131, March of 1979, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it's very true. In fact, it was funny when I opened up this comic, I saw the advertisement for Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I mean, really, folks, this is an old comic. It's amazing like how far everything's come. I mean, we're already in the second. Right now it's June of 2013. So Star Trek Into Darkness was just released. That was the second of the second in the reboot series of Star Trek. So, and this is like the first motion picture before, which led to 6 motion pictures of the original crew, and then they had. Okay, I'm totally digressing here, but it's just crazy, just kind of mind blowing. Anyway, all right. This is a beautiful statue. I've taken a lot of close-ups of her. I know that there's a lot of like statue pervs out there that wanted that want to get like a close look at her. So I actually tried to get like a look at her butt through the camera lens. So look for some close-ups on my blog. If you're on my YouTube channel, you can click on a link on the description that will get you to my blog, and you can check out the post. So once you get on my blog, on the left, there's a left panel on the top right that shows my collection. It has all the statues that I have in my collection in alphabetical order. So you can just find Emma Frost, White Queen, Retro. Click on that. You'll see the video that you're watching, and you'll see a bunch of photos that I took of her. So if you're looking to get some close-ups of this beauty, because you are looking to have some sexy time with her, that's a way to do it. So very cool statue. Let's look at the details of when it was made and the edition size and who sculpted it. Um, so there are 1,500 of these, and rightfully so. She's like an important character, and I would assume a lot of X-Men fans would want her. This is number 85. She was released in 2010, so that's 3 years ago now. And let me see. Sculpted by Mark Newman. Mark Newman, of course, who sculpted the Dark Phoenix. Again, another link to the Dark Phoenix statue. Who sculpted Mr. Sinister. Who sculpted a bunch of great statues. I mean, the guy's very talented. Obviously, you can see from the sculpt that he didn't disappoint with this statue as well. I mean, she's beautiful. She's got a beautiful form. The figure is just nice to look at. And her face is great. Everything's great about it. Like, and the cape is very impressive as well. It's lovely. It's just lovely, and it's par for the course in terms of what Mr. Newman can do. Like, he does great things, and this statue uh, is consistent with what he does. The base is very cool. They got like the Hellfire Club symbol in there, like the H with the pitchfork. You can see a close up of it on my blog. It's a nice sort of like touch to the statue, and again, sort of reflects the significance of Emma in this design. You know, having started, as a core member of the Hellfire Club during a really important storyline, the Dark Phoenix Saga. It's the perfect thing to include. I actually tried to reproduce that in the base for my Sebastian Shaw statue, and I think I actually did a decent job with it. So it just kind of creates a like that continuity throughout the statues in order to sort of re-emphasize the theme that I'm trying to capture within that display. But hopefully, Bowen Designs will create a Sebastian Shaw statue in that period because I think more Hellfire Club statues are warranted, given that this one has this base. It implies that there was a theme that was intended to be sort of you know continued, but we haven't seen the other ones. Donald Pierce, Jason Weingard, the mastermind, Leland Gaunt, I think is the other dude. We need some more Hellfire Club, Mr. Bowen. If you happen to be watching this, or if somebody has his ear, please tell him we need more Hellfire Club members in full size form. All right, so the actual statue, you've got these beautiful like tall boots that go up above her knees, done very nicely, and and then beyond that, she's basically in like lingerie. She's got like this like these like silver panties on, and then like the silver corset that barely covers up her boobs. And it's interesting because there was like this big uproar over the Goblin Queen, Madeline Pryor. She was produced by Bowen Designs, I think, last year, and Marvel asked Randy to cover up her boobs, like the bottom of her boobs. She was like a lot less exposed than I think Emma is here, and Marvel decided to make her look more conservative, which sucks. I think what it has to do with is that Disney bought Marvel. I think like um, right around the time this statue was made, and so maybe they didn't have as much of a say into what was going to be produced by Bowen Designs then. I think now as time has gone on, they've taken on more sort of like ownership of their property and are now going to sort of Disneyfy it more by making it more conservative. And well, at least Bowen was able to make this beauty in her nearly naked form and very sexy lingerie. So it actually captures the character better than otherwise. Even though in the actual designs in the comic, like she's actually pretty covered up. Like the corset is nowhere near as revealing as this one is. But hey, I'm glad Bowen was able to get away with this one. Um, so the corset done very nicely, and of course she's got the big gloves, which look very nice as well. And her face is beautiful, and I've got some close-ups of that. And the hair looks great, very Emma Frost, very much representative of the period in which she was introduced. And I really love like this cape with like the furry sort of collar. It's really nice. Like I think it's a really nice touch and makes it look kind of elegant, and again captures the design properly, um, which is what needs to be, which is what needs to happen. Here like in this period, you have to represent her in the way that she looked during this very seminal time, and if you don't, you fail in your statue. Bowen Designs doesn't fail in their statues. Didn't fail with this statue. Super happy with it. Um, so Emma Frost has gone on, as I said, to become an X-Men. First, I don't know, she had, I mean, obviously she was a villain for a while, and then eventually she started another school. She started a school of the Hellions, a Massachusetts school where her students were the Hellions, and they were actually the adversaries of the New Mutants, who were like the younger generation of the X-Men in like the 80s. And then eventually, like, I think they were all killed, which is like, which was like I think that was probably the most important time for her transformation. It really taught her that um, the way that she was approaching things was going to lead to that, could potentially lead to that kind of tragedy. And so I think she started seeing things Xavier's way a little better. And so then she started the Massachusetts Academy that she had started became part of the Xavier Institute, and then her and Banshee were the headmasters, and they brought in new students, including Jubilee and Sink and Jono, who is the guy, I forgot his name, a Chamber, who's got half of his face blown off, and Paige Guthrie, Sam Guthrie, Cannonball's sister, and oh yeah, Monet St. Croix. Uh, a lot of important characters were introduced then. They were called Generation X, and I think that from that point forward, she sort of became like one of the good guys. And eventually, from that point, once that comic ended, she actually joined the X Men, and then Jean Grey died, and then she got with Scott, and then she just became like a core member of the X Men. So it's been an interesting sort of evolution for the character, and certainly the design of the character has also evolved throughout the years. So it's interesting that she started off looking like this, and then now is still kind of naked, but a little bit more sort of conservative, a little bit less sort of seductive, and a little more stylish. She as Currently she is with a Cyclops in the Uncanny X-Men Volume 3, which is sort of like the book that's following Cyclops and his small team that's kind of gathering new mutants that are popping out throughout the globe, um, in a sort of in a revolutionary type spirit, whereas the rest of the X-Men are kind of trying to maintain Xavier's dream at the Jean Grey School for Gifted Youngsters. Cyclops' team is a little bit more sort of cutting edge and revolutionary, and they feel like they have to take steps that are not necessarily adhering to like the established laws and order in order to protect mutants. So it's a really interesting era. She's with Scott, but they're not together anymore. The Avengers versus X-Men crossover kind of changed the dynamic of everything. But still, she did wind up with Cyclops' team. Magneto's there, Magic is there, and they've gathered all these other X-Men. And it's a really interesting period for the X-Men. It's a really interesting time for her and the rest of the X-Men on either book. I recommend picking these books up. But if you aren't reading the X-Men and you're just a hardcore fan of the X-Men from the old days, from the 60s, from the 70s, the 80s, like this statue definitely sort of reflects that earlier time before things just got crazier than they already were. And so if you stopped collecting comics but love Emma Frost, this is definitely the statue for you to get. I recommend her highly. She's beautiful and looks great in a variety of settings. All right, folks, I'll give her one last spin. There she is. Beautiful. You can, again, check out close-ups of her on my blog. Again, on the description for this video post, you can click on the link that takes you to my blog. My blog is xmenstatuesoffuturepast.blogspot.com. My YouTube channel is Dr. Remy LeBeau's Xler. Thank you all for checking out my material. Thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. And as always, I think it would be in everybody's best interest for you, if you were to encounter a box, you should put an X in it because ain't nobody checking me. All right, folks. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you all very soon. Bye-bye.